welcome to another episode of the Zzzax of Life podcast, a Marvel podcast from Laughing Place. Mike Mack, Kyle Burbank. How's it going, Kyle?
Going well. How about you?
Not bad. A little tired, but, we're going to have a... Yeah, exactly. Yes, very true. We're going to have a little bit of a break after this week's episode, as we're breaking down the She-Hulk finale this week. And then, like we alluded to last week, we'll have a special Halloween episode. We're going to have... I'm really excited for the draft that we're doing today, too. This was a fun, sort of last-second idea, but it worked out, I think. So I'm excited to get to that. So we'll have How Much Is That Cameo? We'll have our draft. We're going to have the She-Hulk finale breakdown. But first, let's jump into some Marvel news. And, again, evergreen. Not a ton of it for us to talk about this week. But there were some delays to the MCU schedule. And a little disappointing because of the timing of it all, because we just got the date for Deadpool 3 last week, 2 weeks ago, something like that.
Yeah.
So, immediately gets delayed. But this is a result of some news we talked about last week, too, which was the exit of Bassam Tariq as director of Marvel's Blade. And that resulted in another delay for that film, which pushed it back from a November 3rd release, November 3rd, 2023, to September 6th, 2024. And then that just sort of cascaded from there because Deadpool was slated for September 6th, 2024. So you move that back to November 8th, 2024. Only a couple months of a delay, so not too bad. But then that pushes Fantastic Four from November 8th, 2024 to February 14th, 2025. So book your Valentine's plans now for 2025. And then...
The Fantastic Four is the Fantastic Two.
I don't know. Nope. I hate it. I don't like any of it. I'm not seeing this movie now. Avengers: Secret Wars is the last thing that got delayed, and that's sort of the big one because, interestingly, the original release date was not impacted by the rest of these moves. But I would assume, the way the story plays out over these films, Fantastic Four has a big role with Avengers: Secret Wars. It is moving back from November 7th, 2025 to May 1st, 2026. So pretty decent delay there. Also means we no longer have just 6 months between Avengers: The Kang Dynasty, which was unaffected by the changes. Again, pretty interesting, I thought. That remains on its original date. And then now we have almost a full year, which I thought this was pretty cool. It is 1 day short of a year between Avengers: The Kang Dynasty and Avengers: Secret Wars. And why that's cool is because that was the exact amount of time between Infinity War and Endgame. So I don't know if that's purely coincidence or what. But...
I mean, it's kind of how calendars work.
Well, yeah, but they didn't have to have exactly a year between, exactly the same amount of time between these two movies. I just thought it was kind of funny. Again, don't know if that was planned on purpose or coincidence.
Well, if they do follow this, then it means that they'll move them both to April.
Sure. Well, yes, yeah. The dates were different. It's just
No, I know, but they did the same thing. It was supposed to be like that first week because Iron Man opened that first week in May, and so that was kind of like their thing for a bit, and then they're like moved it up to April for those last two. I think it was
right. That's right.
For whatever reason, they're trying to do day and date. I don't know why they couldn't just make the European release in May, but
yeah, I'm not sure what that was all about, but now that you mention, I'm remembering that. But yeah, so that was sort of the big news in the world of Marvel from this past week. One other little bit of news: Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur, the upcoming animated Disney Channel series, has already been renewed for a season 2. I'm excited about this. I mentioned this a while back that I got to see the first episode at D23 Expo. Loved it. I can't wait for this show to hit on February 10th. And now we know we're getting a season 2, which is really cool.
Yeah, I mean, that's common for animation to get their second season, so you're not waiting forever for it, but
right.
It's still always a vote of confidence in my book.
Yeah, do you think you're going to watch this series when it debuts?
I mean, I don't know if I'll watch it when it debuts. I guess I'll probably wait for it to be on Disney Plus and have it. I don't know what the release plan for it is exactly, but I plan on watching it, just probably not going to tune in Disney Channel every week or whatever.
That's fair, yeah. I don't think they fully know what the release plan is yet, because they have said that it's going to be on Disney Plus as well, but I don't know if that means episodically, every week. after it debuts on Disney Channel are they going to drop it, or is it going to be after the season's done, do they drop the whole season or what? But either way, I'm excited to check it out. And again, February 10th is when season 1 will premiere on Disney Channel. All right, let's get into the main focus of this week's episode, which is the season finale. Again, didn't really give us clarity on season or series finale. We're not sure about that. But at least the season finale of She-Hulk Attorney at Law. I know what your initial thoughts were, but share with our audience, Kyle. What did you think about this episode?
I thought it was so much fun. I was smiling the entire time and smiling well afterwards. I thought, we'll get into it. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed this show overall. And I thought it did some really interesting things.
Yeah, I agree. And, the weekly segment of them giving us or giving me my new favorite gag for this show. They gave me the top 5 in this week's episode. Like, it was so good. It was so funny. Absolutely loved it. But let's break it down here. So this episode opens up with the Incredible Hulk intro. Like from that 70s, 80s television series, which
did you go watch the intro to see how close it was?
I've seen it before, so I recognize
it's really close.
Yeah,
a lot of it, as close as it can be with obviously having completely different storylines, but especially those first few shots there are pretty much dead on.
Yeah. I know I recognized a lot of it, so that was really cool. And then that reminded me too of we saw part of this a long time ago. Like when they first released the first clips of this show, a part of it was Jen Walters looking in the camera and saying, "You won't like me when I'm angry." It was that they showed that a long time ago. So it was pretty cool that they threw that into the finale here. Love the way that they started this episode before they actually get into it. And I do like too that they called her Savage She-Hulk, because that was a thing I wanted to see. We didn't really get much of Savage She-Hulk in this series, but kind of saw a little bit of it at the end of last week's episode, and I like that they called attention to it, so that was fun. We do quickly get confirmation, by the way, that remember last week we talked about this police force that surrounded her. It was very nondescript. There were no logos or anything like that. We do find out right away that it was DODC, the Department of Damage Control, as she ends up in what looks like the exact same cell that Emil Blonsky was in earlier in the season, and she takes a plea bargain and or a plea deal. Again, legal speak. I don't know if there's differences between those two terms. But she takes a deal to wear an inhibitor and not be She-Hulk anymore. And basically that drops all the charges. But she has to go back to being Jen Walters, which then means that she loses her job and everything sort of falls apart for her. I thought it was interesting, though, that she had that moment of I didn't want to be She-Hulk. I know this is what I wanted, but now that it's, come true, it's sort of like a be careful what you wish for type of story now that we get to this point.
Yeah, like the end of The Graduate.
I'm sure that is the comparison they were going for, yeah. We also get a brief return of the narrator from the Incredible Hulk intro, which I thought was hilarious. And she quickly just goes, "No, we're not off the rails enough to need a narrator."
She moves back in with her parents for it seems, and goes into her bedroom with I like the Aaron Brockovich and Legally Blonde, which I don't think are even Fox movies. So
Oh yeah,
maybe Aaron Brockovich might be a touchstone or something, but don't know for sure. Right. I don't think there's synergy.
Yeah, interesting. I didn't really even think about that, which I should have, because the synergy is everywhere with every Disney project. So, but yeah, that it was cool to see her old room. But then her
UCLA pennant, of course, because she's a proud Bruin.
Right. But yeah, her life kind of just crumbles and everything's going wrong. So she decides to take a mental health break and go visit Blonsky at his ranch.
Well, before that, though, with Ginger, or Ginger's her real name.
Right, Nikki, yes.
Nikki, planning out, Jen wants to sue, and they're trying to figure out how to do that. And little plot point there where Jen's mom shows Nikki an embarrassing video of her from college. Or law school, I guess it is specifically.
Yeah, and then she goes and uses that video as bait to try and get some information out of the intelligentsia crew, and specifically Hulk King. There was a brief moment there, though. Did you think, like, wait a minute, are they giving us a twist where Nikki has actually been working against her?
No, that didn't occur to me.
Okay, because there was a moment where, like, there was no dialogue or anything, and, like, the music sounds just, like, a little bit sinister as she's, like, scrolling intelligentsia and uploading this video, and I was like, wait a minute. But before I could even finish that thought, they were just like, oh, forgive me for this, Jen, and, you know, she kind of reveals her plan to use this video as a way to gain information.
Yeah, they figure everyone's stupid. One of them's going to screw up and give them too much information.
And they were 100% right. Like almost too easily. Like the whole plan just worked very, very quickly. Which the plan then results in Nikki getting invited to an event, but she realizes she can't go to this event as a woman. Like, they're expecting a man to show up to this, so she enlists Pug, which was fantastic. I'm so glad we got more Pug, because he was hilarious in this episode as well. And so he gets forced to go into this event and, you know, be a bro, more or less, I guess is the best way I can put it on this podcast. So yeah, his whole...
A toxic bro.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Yeah, so his whole reluctance towards that was all very funny. Meanwhile, Jen is then at Blonsky's ranch and wants to talk to him because he's going through what she's going through. Like, has already dealt with having to not be the Abomination anymore and to go back to just being Emil Blonsky. So she wants to talk to him, but he's nowhere to be found. And so Wrecker tells her eventually that she can go find him in I think she just says the barn, right? I don't think there was a specific like name for it or anything, but just he's doing a private event in the barn. And then we find out that these two private events are the same thing. So, you know, fun little messy coincidence there, I guess, as the finale like already
messy,
starts to...
Interesting you use that word.
Exactly, yeah. Everything just starts to quickly fall apart. It starts to get, like I said, very messy. And
I mean, going back to the thing with Pug, though, I loved that whole scene where he shows up and he's like, oh, isn't it gonna be weird that I'm gonna have one headphone in? She's like, oh, you won't be the only one.
right, yeah.
It's such a look. And then the way he's like, oh yes, she's sleeping with the boss.
Yeah.
I think you're mad about it. And I'm so pissed.
Again, by the way, I said at the beginning of like our discussions about this show, Josh Segarra, the actor that plays Pug, love him. He is kind of the same character in just about everything, but so funny. I hope to see him in more in the future. But yeah, so these two events sort of merge. We find out that Todd... Well, actually, all right, let me back up a little bit before the events merge. Pug gets the information that he wants. He finds out that Todd, that quote, bad guy, but not necessarily a bad guy that we talked about last week, he is, in fact, Hulk King and the founder of Intelligentsia and the one that's been, tormenting Jen all this time. So we get that bit of information. We then find out that they have a special guest speaker at this event, which is Abomination. Not even Blonsky, but the actual Abomination. So he is not only, perpetuating this intelligentsia mindset and event. Not that he is necessarily of the same mindset, because he's kind of just a inspirational speaker for hire, but he's also violating his parole, becoming Abomination again. And Jen walks in to see that and gets all this information dumped on her at once. Blonsky's violating his parole. This event is being held on his ranch. Todd is the leader of Intelligentsia. And then Todd reveals his whole, in very, evil villain...
They just happen to have the vial ready for him.
Right, yes. Yeah, he gives his whole evil villain monologue, injects himself with the blood that they stole from
and then
Jen.
Synthesized.
Right. And then she's, looking at the camera and this isn't going to work, right? This isn't what this season has been leading up to. But sure enough, Todd does, Hulkify himself. He becomes he becomes a Hulk, and the first thing he says is "Come at me, bro," which was hilarious. Another great line for this show. But yeah, so that happens. We get Jen, being protected by Abomination as Titania bursts through the wall, and then Bruce breaks in through the ceiling and starts fighting Abomination. So everything is just a complete mess. And Jen literally looks into the camera again and says, "Is this working? Is this what you guys wanted?" And the episode cuts away. What was your reaction to that when that happened?
I knew it was a fake out.
Yeah.
But because, especially our dog walking on remotes and stuff has happened, it would have been possible. This was probably the one time where I was like, oh no, that's not possible because she's sitting still and Becca's not anywhere near the remote. So, yeah.
All right, so
otherwise,
I have
99% of the time it would have faked me out.
I have to tell you, on Marvel Time, Benji said the same thing. He's like, sometimes my dog will walk across the remote. And then I actually saw an interview with one of the writers of the show, Jessica Gao, writer, producer. I mean, I think she did just about everything. But she even said, like, we didn't want this fake out to last too long because we didn't want people to think, oh, did my dog walk across the remote? I like specifically had that same thought. So I thought that was so funny. But yeah, so we do get this brief fake out. We go back to the Marvel screen on Disney Plus, and then you quickly hear Jen's voice in the background, and she bursts out of the She-Hulk tile, looks around, even scrolls a little bit, and she's like, "Oh yeah, Marvel assembled, that'll work," and breaks that tile and jumps into what is essentially then the real world, and she walks along the Disney lot.
Did you hear the background of like talking about the Infinity Stones? It's
yes,
like,
yeah. So in the original Thor movie, they wanted me to build a gauntlet. Yeah, that was really funny. There's so much in this whole Disney lot sequence that is just, it's so good. I mean, they didn't break the fourth wall here. They obliterated the fourth wall. Like, they really just like absolutely smashed it. I mean, it was awesome. I loved it. Jen, now She-Hulk, by the way, she has become She-Hulk again. She gets to the writer's room for the show as they are planning out the finale and starts complaining about everything they're doing. One of the writers says something along the lines of, like, there are things that are supposed to happen in a superhero story. And she's like, well, why don't we change that? Why don't we not do the same things over and over again? There were a lot of things in this writer's room, by the way. How much did you, like, pay attention to?
I looked at a lot of things and said, oh, I want to zoom in on that at some point, like all their story beat cards and stuff. But I wasn't watching on a big. Our TV's only like 24 inches, and I wasn't gonna like pause and peek. But yeah, I'm sure there's lots of fun stuff there.
Well, there is and there isn't. Like, there's a lot of fun, like, little gags and stuff thrown in there, but there's not much in the way of like Easter eggs. It's more like there's like some storyboards, like concept art for the characters and things like that, which is cool to see. There's a lot of notes like, but where's the... They keep using the term wowie. Like, where's the wowie? There's no wowie in this finale. One note on the whiteboard, though, that stood out to me, they just wrote, "Are you sure that's a real apple?" I don't... Does this have any... Is this, like terminology in the business that I'm not aware of or something? Like, what is that?
I don't know. I mean, I guess it could be like a Snow White reference.
Maybe. I have no idea. I have no idea why that's on the board, and there's no, obviously no attention is paid to it, but like nothing around it makes sense either. I'm not sure. I don't know what that's about. But anyway, Jen, tells them they need to change it, and they eventually tell her that this is the story that Kevin wants. And well, you had an experience watching with the subtitles on. What did the closed captioning
with subtitles? It originally spelled out Kevin with periods in between it when the writer says it, but when Jen says it, it was regular Kevin. So immediately I knew, okay, I know where this is going. But when I rewatched it today, the subtitles have been updated to just not stylized Kevin.
Yeah,
so I guess they realized somebody that was it. I mean, obviously it's like a 5-minute head start on that story.
Right,
but,
yeah. It's not like it's a big reveal anyway, but...
Yeah. But I thought that was funny, because I was like, okay, it's going to be like that. Did you see Space Jam 2?
Unfortunately, I did, yeah.
Yeah, so what was an algorithm?
Oh, like right, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so... That was just a funny little gaffe in this episode. But then she does go to meet with Kevin, who at the time you obviously assume is Kevin Feige. She gets to a receptionist who she then has to sign an NDA. And Benji told me on Marvel Time, that receptionist has since gotten a promotion, but actually was the receptionist at Marvel Studios. So I love that. That's hilarious. I was also looking through the credits to see if there were any fun, little cameos in there. Comic writer Zeb Wells, who has handled some She-Hulk in the past, is listed as Ham Guy. I don't know who Ham Guy is. Ham
Guy.
Yep, that's all I could think of. And I was like, I don't remember that happening in this episode, so I know that's not it. But yeah, so I'm not sure who Zeb Wells actually was there. Interestingly, the some of the writers are listed as like writer Jessica, so like Jessica Gao, and then writer Zeb, so Zeb Wells. But they're not playing themselves; it's actors. And then yeah, again, don't know who Ham Guy is.
I forget the guy's name, but I wrote the season 6 community in.
Oh right, yeah.
Good.
Yeah. So anyway, she does get to the receptionist. The receptionist hits the alarm, and She-Hulk plows her way through security. Very much like the Black Widow hallway fight scene with security in Iron Man 2. I'm not sure if they were going for that on purpose, but that's what I connected it to in my mind. But then she does fight her way in to see Kevin, and we find out that it is not Kevin Feige, but a machine called Kevin. I can't remember the acronym. It's knowledge enhanced, like visual something. I don't know.
Are you not prepared for this?
I don't know. It doesn't matter. It was all just thrown together so they could spell out Kevin anyway. But oh man, there were so many great jokes in the conversation between She-Hulk and Kevin. Starting with Kevin telling her to go back to being Jen because she's expensive to animate She-Hulk, and then he specifically tells her to go back off camera because the visual effects team has moved on to another project, and you get just a beat of the Black Panther music in that moment.
A little Wakanda.
Yeah, so funny, so good, and even when the camera cuts to Kevin, he's like, "Okay, go now." So I mean, just the fourth wall breaking stuff was just so.
Oh, and of course, there's a brim over the lenses that looks like a baseball cap, which we knew as soon as we put together what it was going to be, that there needed to be some sort of baseball cap involved.
Right. Can I tell you my one disappointment out of this, though?
Sure.
The Marvel must-haves have been released. There's no Kevin merchandise.
Maybe next week.
Yeah, hopefully. I need some Kevin merchandise after that, because give me that hat. Give me a Kevin hat. I don't want to wear that.
But you mentioned some great lines. There was one where Jen's asking about the daddy issues in the MCU, and then she says, "And when are we getting the X-Men?" And the way she looks at the camera and gives a thumbs up is really funny. But then, of course, I'll save it for a little bit. I'll tell you my favorite line in the entire episode that made me laugh out loud.
I think I know what it was, probably. But
probably.
Well, another one of mine was when Kevin is as She-Hulk's about to leave. Well, as Jen is about to leave, Kevin says, "I'll see you on the big screen," and she's like, "Really?" And he goes, "No," which I thought was hilarious. But also, I'm like, "But tell me when I am going to see her again," because that's one thing we didn't get from this finale is when we'll see She-Hulk again. But yeah, so I imagine your favorite line came in right here, right?
On her way out, where she says she's a Hulk, she smashes things.
Yes, yeah.
Yes, like fourth walls, bad finales, and sometimes Matt Murdock.
Yeah, so funny. I like that they pushed the boundary on some of the jokes they made in this show for what you would expect from Disney Plus.
Yeah. But of course, before she leaves, she gets Kevin to override a lot of the bad stories that she doesn't like, and you can see them being altered in real time. Not having Todd get powers, Bruce not showing up.
Right.
Still, Titania shows up somehow, which was a little weird.
Yeah.
But she let that one slide.
She does also get him to add Daredevil returning. That was just something she wanted.
Because a woman has needs, and they have been a little bit lacking in that department.
Yes. So yeah, she does. She fixes the finale. I was a little bit surprised to see that she returns to her show, and the climax is already passed. We're already just to everything wrapping up. It makes sense because there's not, once she gets back as She-Hulk and Todd is just Todd, how much is there for her to really do? But we get back to see that Todd is being arrested. She-Hulk goes after him and decides to let him off the hook temporarily. She's going to attack him legally, not physically. So that's where we leave off with that story. Daredevil then drops in out of nowhere. Daredevil, by the way, looks very out of place. 1, during the day, and 2, not in a city. Like, just on a farm somewhere in full Daredevil costume. Looks very weird. But so, yeah, he returns. She then goes and sees Blonsky is also being taken into custody because of violating his parole. And she says, once you sign this, you're going back to prison. I think she said for like 10 years, I think was his sentence after that. So, so that's where we leave off with Blonsky for now. And kind of wraps up the story. We then get like the happy ending part as we go to a family dinner, a family like outdoor like barbecue type thing with Jen's family and Matt Murdock in attendance as the boyfriend ? Is this a couple now? I don't know what to make of this.
I think so. He's just visiting, but
yeah, he says he's just visiting several times.
Every conversation's headed that direction. Better buckle up.
Right. So now I'm curious, like, is this going to bleed over into Daredevil Born Again? Like, are we going to get any mention of that? Or is this going to be kind of swept under the rug? Does Jen show up in one episode, as like a special guest star? Curious to see how this spills out into the rest of the MCU.
It better. I ship.
That's another draft I want to do in the future, by the way. Just, MCU characters we are shipping.
Okay. I'm sure Doobie will love that.
You're right. That does sound like a Doobie draft. I'm sure we should, we'll invite him for that one. Then we get the big bomb of this episode, which is Bruce showing up and interrupting this family meal and dropping some news on them, which is that he introduces them to his son, Scar. And we see this Hulk-like being walk on to screen. What were your thoughts?
Well, I better ask Mac who that is.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's fair. So yeah, all right. I'll explain here. So we've made a lot about Bruce leaving, and there was a Sicarian ship. Sicarian. I think they say Sicaran. Sicarian ship that showed up that caused the whole car accident in the beginning. So there was a lot of nods to the Planet Hulk / World War Hulk story arc, being thrown into this show. Jen let us know a long time ago, this is her show. It is not going to be about Bruce. So that kind of got...
And then also waves off Kevin and says, save it for the movie.
Right. Which I'm really interested to see. Was that, a hint, or was that just a joke? Is this going to be a Hulk movie or a show or what? But Scar is not actually a part of those two stories, though. He is a result of them, of Planet Hulk more so. So just a quick explanation. Planet Hulk gets banished from Earth because I think it was the Las Vegas incident. Like, he essentially destroyed Las Vegas. And Reed Richards, Tony Stark, and the other smart people have had enough. And they're like, we got to get rid of him. So they build him a little pod, and they send him out into space. He ends up on Sakaar, where the people are being ruled by a brutal tyrant who, uses them in his gladiatorial games like you saw in Thor Ragnarok. And he eventually leads the uprising, overthrows the Red King is the name of this tyrant. And he eventually marries, I guess it was a princess, and then now the queen of Sakaar, and then is ruler of Sakaar. His wife is then pregnant, but there's a whole lot of other details I won't get into. The pod that he was sent there in blows up and kills millions of people, including his wife and unborn child. So Hulk goes full Hulk mode, returns to Earth with what's left of his new army, and wages war against the heroes of Earth. That's essentially Planet Hulk and then World War Hulk. Scar, that unborn child, turns out is actually born later on in the fires of Sakaar, of what's left of that wreckage, and eventually becomes an anti-hero, and then eventually a hero, I suppose. So, that is the story of Scar, and so I'm not sure what we're going to get out of this. My thought is we're going to get more Planet Hulk, not so much World War Hulk, and we'll get eventually the story of what was going on with Bruce during the events of this She-Hulk series. That's just my guess. What do you think after hearing all of that? What are your thoughts on this?
Cool.
Fair. Is that something you'd be like? Are you interested in the Planet Hulk story? I know, like, a lot of people.
Oh, I mean, it's been rumored for years and years and years and years and years. And yeah, it sounds really interesting. But then it also, like, where we are at with the Hulk, it doesn't really make sense at this point to do it in that manner. And then also, you know, people love the Hulk, so to see him be, you know, I guess it'd be kind of like Wanda, except that, you know, even more beloved.
Right. Yeah, no, it would definitely be a heavily altered version of that story. And I think World War Hulk is very difficult to do at this point. Unless you revert back to Savage Hulk, I don't see that really working out. And I would think Scar would have to be the catalyst of it somehow. Either Scar is the one waging war on Earth, or he is a victim that then sends Hulk down a dark path, maybe. But my guess is we will get the Planet Hulk story as opposed to World War Hulk, which might disappoint some people, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Yeah, I think we'll get a different version of the Planet Hulk story with him returning to Sakaar to rescue those people from the Red King, and Scar will be part of that, I suppose. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. So yeah, that's the end of the episode until we then finally get a tag once again. We haven't had one since episode 4. This one didn't go the way I thought, because I did think we were going to see more of Blonsky. He is now back in his cell at Damage Control. I just thought it was going to be somebody else rescuing him. I thought we were going to hear some high heels clicking and then, see Val show up and enlist him in the Thunderbolts. But instead, a portal opens up and Wong takes him back out of there. So there's more of a friendship / partnership here than just just Wong's kumite as he was training to become Sorcerer Supreme, I guess.
This week's scroll.
Oh, interesting. So you're saying Wong?
I guess so. I'm mostly joking, but I'm going to use it anyway.
That's fair. Okay, that's an interesting theory to throw in there. I'm not opposed to the idea. They would have to. I mean, it's very possible a Skrull could have learned some mystic arts. They could have been infiltrating Kamar-Taj a long time. So, makes sense. That'll be interesting. We'll see how that goes. So that is it. That's the finale of She-Hulk Attorney at Law. That's where things wrap up.
I will say, like, when all of this starts going down, where there's just like a bunch of different things colliding, I thought they were going to do the bit where they just acknowledge that it's hacky and that it's overdone, but then and act like that, you know, like it makes it okay.
Right.
And they didn't do that. They are like, no, let's talk about how these finales are. And like, you know, we've talked about it before, like with WandaVision. We're like, oh, really? That led up to big CGI battle in the sky. Okay. Yeah. That's how this thing goes. So I thought it was just really, really smart the way they did it. And, you know, I thought that the way that they did the intelligentsia thing too was also like, yeah, they took on the trolls. They didn't just take on anyone who's a quote unquote hater. You know, I thought they really towed a line there too.
Yeah. And I agree. I think you're absolutely right, because we talked about them sort of poking fun at themselves in previous weeks. So that is exactly what we would have expected in this finale. But instead, they completely just blew the finale up and then changed it. So I agree. I think that was a brilliant way to handle it. My only frustration, aside from the no Kevin merchandise, is that we don't know. You know, we didn't get a, like, She-Hulk will return in whatever. So we don't know when we're seeing her again, which has been the norm for these series. Like, we did know for Miss Marvel, that was announced previously, but we don't know about Moon Knight. And I guess we unofficially got the announcement of Captain America 4 like when Falcon and the Winter Soldier wrapped up. So,
and I know that I've said like that I want to know these things, and I thought we would get that information at, you know, the past couple expos.
Yeah.
But now, like, when you ask me, like, oh, what do you think of this Scar reveal? I'm like, you know what? I just give me what you're going to give me. Like, I don't
just
need
along for the ride, right?
Yeah. I'm not as worried about it anymore, I guess.
That makes sense.
You know, I didn't know what this was going to be, and it turned out to be, you know, fantastic. And I liked that it was, at the end of the day, like, no, seriously, we're just making a show about, it's a legal comedy. That,
right,
there's some complicating factors, but it was about the character, not about a big battle and stuff. So
right. Yeah, no, that totally makes sense that you'd be along for the ride like that as someone who isn't, reading comics and wanting to see these stories. And I do feel that way at this point too, because I've said it a whole bunch of times, like I fully trust the way that they're going to handle these movies and shows and everything going forward. I just wish I knew, I just want the information. But I totally understand too that, that's not how it works all the time. They have to lay things out, and they don't know exactly right now when we're going to see She-Hulk again. So I just wish we did. I just wish I knew when that she's going to show up in Secret Invasion or something like that. So, but yeah, that's going to do it for our breakdown of She-Hulk Attorney at Law, at least season 1. We'll see if we see a season 2.
I hope so.
Yeah, I agree. I do. I hope we get another season of this show.
Yeah, I think of all of the different shows we've seen so far, I think this definitely fits the mold more. Because, now that we have the back night of Moon Knight, having a movie instead, I'm good with.
Yeah.
A series would also make sense. But this is, because she's, it's a legal comedy. You're not necessarily going to make a movie out of that. You could, sure. But I think, if they want to just keep making it a legal comedy and not even have an overarching story,
right,
and just do an episodic sort of show, I think that'd be awesome.
Yeah, I agree.
From what we saw, having these, D tier superheroes and stuff show up, I think that'd be fantastic.
Actually, I did just think of one more thing before we move on to our games. We'll get to that in just a second here. But I was a little bit surprised that there was no mention, at least, of the leader. Because we know he's going to show up in Captain America 4. Captain America New World Order, the name of the movie now. So maybe that is where we see She-Hulk next. Because that's, leader is a Hulk villain and has dealt with stealing the blood of the Hulk and trying to recreate the serum and all that. So it makes sense if that's a path.
Unless it was all just I don't know if she completely erased the blood storyline.
That's possible.
If it was just a fake out because they want to.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying Leader was involved in this story. I'm just saying that maybe she becomes a plot point in New World Order. I think that's a possibility. But yeah, I'd be interested to see if that's the case. Definitely excited to see the Leader in New World Order, so we'll see how that goes. All right. I think we've exhausted it. Are you ready to get to our games?
I think so.
How much is that cameo? All right, we have another round of How Much Is That Cameo, and joining us again this time around is Tony. Hey, Tony.
Hello.
Tony, every time I say "Hey, Tony," I immediately think of the Tony the Tiger song from the 2000. Did I say this last time you were on the podcast too?
Nope.
Okay.
Because I would have remembered that and the frustration and anger that it brings with it, and the sophomore year in high school PTSD.
Yep. Yeah, that's very fair.
Well, you know what? Let's just avoid this altogether. Hey, Anthony.
Oh God, that's even worse.
All right, so Tony is joining us. What's going on, Tony?
Oh, the Earth spins, and we count each day.
That it does. All right, so you know how much is that cameo works. So, yes. Kyle, who do we have this week?
Okay, so I'm going to say ahead of time.
Oh, boy.
I was so excited. I was like, oh, I have a great one for this week. And then I was like, oh, I think we did this. But then I checked my sheet, and I don't see it. So I'm going to go with it. I'm sure that even if we did do it, you guys have no recollection of how much it was.
Yeah, if I win both showcases, it's purely by chance.
Okay. Here's this person's intro.
Here, welcome to Cameo. I'm here because anytime you want to get a great personal mention about your birthday, about your wedding, about your life, about your love, about anything, you come to Cameo. I'm right here.
So his name gets cut off at the beginning there, but obviously that is Lou Ferrigno. He is the Hulk on the late 1970s, early 1980s show. No idea why I chose this particular one this week. He's also on The King of Queens, of course.
Yeah, he's the King of Queens.
Yeah.
Well, he isn't the King of Queens.
No, he's the neighbor of the King of Queens.
Yes.
He's also in a fantastic movie called
I
I Love You, Man.
to the King of Queens.
He's a nosy neighbor in one episode. Anyway, my question for you is, how much is that cameo?
I know what you mean, by the way, because I feel like we've done this before, but also like I'm not sure. We might have. I don't remember.
It's not on my sheet, so okay. I mean, it's very possible that I screwed that up. But yeah, well, we did do one recently where the guy was the Bruce Banner in a 1982 and 1983 show.
That's true.
But this is, of course,
right.
Lou frickin' Ferrigno.
Yeah, and this is a difficult one because
I thought you stuttered for a second there.
Believe it or not, Lou Ferrigno is one of the biggest names we've had for this. So, kind of throws. How many Lindsay Lohans is Lou Ferrigno worth? Is my question.
Well, how much is Lindsay Lohan worth?
500.
I was not around for that one. Are you serious?
Yeah.
According to Cole, I can fact check that.
That's true. That was Cole's method of he uses the Lohan scale for his guesses here. So I'm trying to put that to work a little bit, see if it works out for me. I'm gonna say Lou Ferrigno is exactly one half a Lohan. I'm gonna say 250.
Okay.
I don't know my
Lohan
percentages.
is indeed 500, by the way. Cole knows his stuff. Business is 3,500, and you can book a live video call with her for 1,500.
Wow. Okay.
So 250 for Matthew.
Do I get to guess? I'm gonna say I'm gonna go.
Kind of how the King
I feel like King of Queens downgraded it just a hair. I'm gonna say, you share time with a former Scientologist. They come after you. I'm gonna say 150.
Well, then today's winner, winning both showcases, is Tony.
Whoa!
Because that cameo is $150.
Oh man, you know what this means? This means that I now have to employ a Scientology method to this game going forward as well.
I mean, was Lindsay ever involved in that? I don't even know.
We are forming just like an Illuminati of Cameo here.
Basically.
Gonna look into that now. I doubt it though.
All right, you guys ready to draft?
Yeah.
Yep.
What if I told you we were putting a team together? Assemble.
All right, we have a pretty exciting draft to get to this week. We are going to be drafting, with Tony being our resident animation specialist / genius, we're going to be drafting a Walt Disney Animation Studios Avengers team. So just imagine, animated Thanos in the Walt Disney Animation Studios universe that may or may not exist. I don't know.
Who would animated Thanos be?
Ooh, that's a good question. Who is like the Disney Animation Studios villain? Who's like the villain? I don't know.
The cliche one is Maleficent.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Okay, so
or
maybe
Chernabog.
Yeah. Chernabog was the first one that came to mind. In fact, that's how I laid it out to both of you guys. I said, We're only drafting heroes here, so no Chernabog. But yeah, so we are drafting Disney animated heroes, specifically from the main feature films, and, assembling our own team of Avengers. So, Tony, you've done this before. You know how it works. Would you like to draft first, second, or third?
I always go second, so let's go second.
All right. Kyle, do I go first between the two of us this week?
I think you do.
All right. That means I have the first pick, and that is not what I expected.
Oh, well. Based on previous conversation with you, I know where this is going.
Yeah,
already,
you do.
So go ahead.
You do know where this is going because I made it a point.
I know where this is going. I didn't talk to you at all.
I made it a point to say that we don't. It's not just the main character that we're drafting. It's it's any hero or
good natured.
Yes, there you go. Thank you. Yeah. So with that being said, I will take the genie.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Feel like your team is pretty good if you have essentially just unlimited magic on your side. So, but that being said, I don't think it is. Like, I don't think it's over. I don't think that is like a one-pick win right there. So I think there's some really good ones on the board still. So, Tony, you chose to pick second. Decided to pass on the genie. What did you...
I didn't say I passed on the genie.
Well, you knew I was going to take him.
I knew you were going to do it.
So what was your strategy here? Who's your first pick?
My strategy was to embrace my, as you said, specialist / genius status. Not that I'm not humble or anything. And I went a little more off the cuff. So I do have some mainstream picks like Genie
okay.
on my sheet, but I'm also like focused more on the other ones. And I actually went a little Doctor Strange with this one and said Yensid.
Okay, I did think of Yensid. I thought you might go a different way, but Yensid is a good one.
Oh, I guess he's a hero.
Yeah,
he gets it.
Because Mickey's magic was only in a dream.
Ooh,
Yensid was magic to begin with.
Okay, all right.
It's all of his stuff, his spell book, his hat. It's all of that's his. Mickey just messed with it.
A fair point. Crossing a
and
name
took
off
all
my
the
list.
Glory.
All right, so Yensid, good pick. Probably not going to be a popular one in the polls. I don't know that that's going to get you a ton of votes.
I don't play to the crowd. I play to myself.
No, that doesn't sound like you at all. All right, Kyle, we're up to you now for back-to-back picks.
Vote for me.
I have such a long list.
Is that sarcasm, or did you actually?
No, I really do have a long list.
I was going to say, I actually
debating between. I know I get back-to-back picks, but I'm trying to debate between which ones. You know what? Since you took a shapeshifter, I'm taking a shapeshifter. I'm taking Maui.
Ooh.
So I had Maui in my list as, and I have it right here in my notes, basically the Genie.
Yeah, that's a good one. I don't know how I didn't put Maui on my list. I don't know why, but that's obviously a great pick and should be in the first round. So good job, Kyle.
I have Genie, Maui, basically the Genie. Those are my notes for that idea.
All right, I like it. And now I'm a little bit worried about my list going forward, but we'll see how it goes.
All right, so I'm stuck between two, and I feel like, all right, flip a coin. I'm gonna say he's here, he's there, he's every effing where. I'm taking Hercules.
I was hoping he would come back to me, but I also didn't really feel like he had much of a chance. So
I don't think my other one's coming back to me, but that's okay.
Yeah, Hercules, great pick. He was very high on my list. Tony, I assume he was on your list too.
He's not.
Really? Okay.
Nope.
All right. Well, we are back to you then. Who is on your list still?
Again, I tried to go a little cuckoo bananas, and
the Doobie Method.
Hercules is not too mainstream, but like just obviously like he's in the gym all the time with his little.
He goes from zero to hero
in no time flat, right? But
he can go the distance. I don't know if you knew that.
Yeah, but it doesn't belong anywhere.
I would say Kyle is winning the soundtrack battle so far, but I have a good start with Genie as well, so we'll see how that goes.
I have a few. If we're going for like fighting ability, like Hercules, although he does have a sword, I believe. I'm gonna go, and I took like a little Black Widow pick here. And I actually said I couldn't decide between the two, but I ended up going by haircut and said Namari from Raya and the Last Dragon.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if you have seen that movie.
I have.
Like the hand-to-hand combat and fighting actually had to be edited down. Fun fact, because it was just so aggressive and brutal in some shots. But yeah, so I'm gonna go say Namari.
That's really good. And the fight scenes in that movie are awesome. So it was really, really cool. So good pick. I didn't expect that one. Didn't have Namari on my list. However, I might cross off another name that was on my list because of that. But good choice. All right, so back to me now with back-to-back picks here, and I am torn, but I think first I'm gonna get some muscle on this team, and the Avengers have the Hulk. They got the Hulk so he can smash. My team is gonna wreck. I'm taking Wreck-It Ralph.
Yep.
Yeah, he was on my list too. Yeah.
Yeah, gotta get the muscle in there.
Although the only thing that sucks is that he's a video game, so unfortunately he's not really going to help you in the real world. The real animated world.
Right, exactly, yeah. None of these characters are going to help us in the real world, just letting you know.
Nope. Wreck-It Ralph's stuck in a video game. I hate to break it to you.
Well, depending on what fan theory you buy into, Genie might. But
okay, fair. Also, whatever mythology both of Kyle's
also
might
true.
as well. Basically, it's just Tony that's losing right now. Okay, so
Come at me.
I am torn now. I was gonna go with another one that like I said, Tony kind of crossed off my list that I won't specifically mention because it's
it was Raya.
Still, it was Raya. I was gonna take Raya.
I mean,
here.
she's got that sword.
Yeah.
Is awesome.
Yeah. All right. I'm just gonna go in a different direction, but still take a similar character in that I want that sort of melee fighter and also someone who can probably lead this team. I'm gonna take Mulan.
Cool. I was thinking that or Johnny Osmond, so I think you went with the right one.
Specifically, like, you were actually going to draft Donny Osmond, though.
Is Donny Osmond still lost in the Haunted Mansion?
I think he found his way to Vegas without his sister, so.
Yeah.
Your turn,
right.
Tony.
Yeah, we are up to Tony, and I left one on my board here, and I think I made a mistake in doing so. We'll see if this character gets back to me. But Tony, you are up.
Okay, so I have the muscle also. I had Wreck-It Ralph, and I said, so Hulk, like, we thought that's what the Parks costume was going to be. That whole battle suit.
Right.
I'm going to skip my muscle for now. We might come back to it. I don't know. But I also was thinking of crazy scientists like Tony Stark or Bruce Banner himself, and I went with Jumba from Lilo and Stitch.
Okay.
Not where I thought that was going.
Not me neither. Although I don't know if I had an idea of where it was going because there's I don't know. There's not Tony Stark-like options out there a whole lot. So,
but there are.
Okay. All right.
For the record, and I went with Jumbo because it's more obscure. But I'm thinking I should have went with the other one now.
All right.
You know what? Can I retract?
Kyle, what do you think?
Yeah. I'll allow it.
All right, I'm going to go with Cornelius Robinson.
Nice. I like that one. I like it.
Still not where I thought we were going.
Because Wilbur did all the time travel, but his dad invented it. So they have that ability, too.
I like it.
Yes.
That's a solid pick. Again, probably not winning you this poll, but I do like it. I appreciate
Vote for Tony.
Your heart is in the right place. Okay, Kyle. Back to you. Back-to-back picks to round out your draft.
I still have the one that I was thinking of earlier, and now I'm debating that again. But I'm going to go ahead and take her this time. You usually draft Iceman.
Yeah,
so in that vein, I'm taking Elsa.
Yeah, I made a mistake. I should have gone Elsa instead of Mulan. But and what's funny is I only really thought like, oh well, there's no way Tony's going to take Elsa, so maybe she'll come back to me. I should have known Kyle.
Accurate.
Yeah.
Great pick.
So violently clear from those movies. I might have gone through. This might come as a shock to both of you fellows. I have all of them on DVD or Blu-ray, and I literally used that to like, okay, let's think of these characters, and I ripped those two off the shelf. That's not even that's not even a possibility.
Well, listen, Olaf is still available if you want him, but Kyle has another pick here. Who's going to be your final pick, Kyle?
Well. It's going to be weird leaving the top literal 6 off that came off the top of my list and move further down. But, I have powers, I have shape-shifting, I have muscle. But, it's also good if you can have someone that can heal the rest of the team.
Oh, no.
So I'm going to take Rapunzel.
Yep.
Oh, okay. Okay, not where I thought you were going to go. But there are a few options in that sort of class there, so I like it.
Yeah, I agree with Kyle on that one. I actually have 4 female characters, and that's actually one of the ones I first thought of.
I didn't think to put her on my list because my first thought was Frying Pan. And that was what came to mind with her.
That comes too. You get Frying Pan.
You do get the
healing.
Frying Pan, but I didn't think of the hair healing. But I like it. Good pick. All right, Tony. Who's going to be your last pick? I'm excited to hear what crazy name you're going to throw out here.
Well, now that you've said that, you piled on the pressure. So let's not say Beast. Actually, I was saving this one as my mic drop. Tanana from Brother Bear. She is the shaman woman who could literally put you into a bear if she needed to.
So you're not taking the dinosaur from Dinosaur, whatever its name might be.
Aladar.
Aladar, yeah. So basically what you just did is you made Thanos a bear. That's what you have to deal with now. So good luck with that.
I was also thinking, because you had your muscle with Wreck-It Ralph, I even put Fix-It Felix down, but he can't get anywhere near the villain. Because if he touches them, they're healed or fixed and better. So he's kind of not pointless, but if, the ship or whatever they're on is busted, hey, he's great.
There you go. All right,
don't let him near the villain. But I said Tanana because he basically said it could be any animal. They could make him a moose. They could make him a lizard. They could make him.
I like that the second one, like right after bear. The next one that came to mind was a moose. Like you just keep going with these wildly dangerous animals.
Have you seen Brother Bear? Those moose aren't dangerous.
Okay,
many much moosin'. Moose eat the foot in the woods.
Before we go on a Brian Regan tangent, let me finish up this draft here. All right, so the top of my list has been picked apart here now that Kyle took Elsa from me. I also had Beast on my list, Tony, but I already got my muscle. So I am also going to go down the path of having someone that can heal my team, and there's two ways I can go that I can think of at least, and one of them probably makes more sense. But this is an Avengers draft, so I'm going to go the Marvel route and take Baymax.
I don't know how much.
I was going to say that's
cheating. Put the Band-Aid on, but
I
did have the rest of the 6 on here though.
That's cheating. Aren't they all Marvel characters?
But I'm taking the animation studio's version of the character, which is very, very different from the Marvel Baymax.
If I took the Frozen ones off the shelf, I tilted Big Hero 6 the other way, as in don't.
They're different characters, and I thought about going with a few of the other characters from that movie, but I mean, Baymax is the poll winner. I want Baymax. All right, so our final teams here. I got Genie, Wreck-It Ralph, Mulan, and Baymax. Tony got Yensid, Namari, Cornelius Robinson, and Tanana. Tony, I'm going to need some spelling help from you for our poll. Kyle got Maui, Hercules, Elsa, and Rapunzel. Solid teams here. Tony, anybody else? I mean, who else is left on your list? Because I know you have more.
Well, I pulled Bruno because he has the visions.
Yeah, I had pretty much the entire Madrigal family.
Oh, so Bruno is your Doctor Strange?
Well, Yensid was my Doctor Strange.
That's true.
That would make something to you if you'd seen.
Also true. I also went a little Hawkeye and said Robin Hood.
Yeah, I thought about Robin Hood. It's a good one.
I also said this one's kind of... I tried to bust out of the 2000s, but I couldn't. Princess Kida as in her crystal form. Not
sounds
in her
fragile.
Human form. Yes, but there's a reason they put her in like that steel box.
All right.
Jumba, like I said, I was going back and forth between Raya and Namari. Raya had the sword, but Namari has the cool undercut. Wreck-It Ralph, Felix, Rapunzel, Quasimodo, and then Genie, Maui. Yeah.
All right. Kyle, what about you?
Well, the rest of the big hero, Go-Go, Honey, Lemon, Fred.
Right.
Beast.
What does Fred do?
He breathes fire.
Outside of his suit, though, can he breathe fire?
No, so he has a suit.
Okay. Yeah. I had Cheshire Cat just to be a distraction.
Fair.
Peter Pan, that was low on the list. Adult Simba.
I did think of Simba, yeah. Or Mufasa, or, basically just draft a lion.
I had Jim Hawkins. I don't exactly know what he does.
I thought about Jim Hawkins because he's a good pilot. But
I am blanking on Jim Hawkins. Who is Jim Hawkins?
Treasure Planet.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Oh, and there's another one here that I wrote down that I don't remember what it is. Oh, the guy from Black Cauldron.
Oh.
Taran?
Yeah. Taran? Yeah.
Okay. All right. I had Merlin on my list.
I thought about Merlin.
Yeah, but after getting Genie, I was like, Merlin's pretty useless for me. I did have Beast, like I said. Most of my list was kind of picked through. Like Raya, I thought about, and then I did have Aladdin. As my Aladdin was specifically like if we were fighting Thanos and needed to steal the Infinity Stone from him, that would be who I would go with.
I thought about that for Abu.
Oh yeah, that's a good one too. And then
I've only seen the stage show, so I don't know about Abu.
Could you imagine that being the only way you have ever consumed the story of Aladdin is just the Broadway show?
That was
all I know is that he could use a friend or two.
Yes.
And then my last pick, just for aside from the whole Madrigal family, like I said, I also had, just to throw a complete wild card in there, Tarzan.
What about Tarzan? Because he could lift like leopards over his head. And
definitely add some muscle, but probably a little lack of control a little bit there too. So
I was also tempted to take the Roseanne cow from April 2 Bust a Moo.
Yeah.
All right. Well, good job.
I did
guys.
think about that villain, but again, no villains.
Yes, yeah.
He's just hypnotic.
Maybe we should do a villains one too, because we already have the idea of
guy
doing
from Bambi got the gun. No, we're good.
Let me turn my page, and here we go. Are we doing this now? Okay.
No, but we will do a Pixar one at some point. I also had the idea we should do a live action Disney films one.
Blue Sky.
Ooh, wow. There's a lot of different ways we could go here. So yeah, we'll do more of these in the future because this was fun. All right, well, thanks again, Tony, and we'll have you back for that Pixar one for sure.
Pixar and villains, I'm down.
All right, sounds good. All right, that's going to do it for another episode of the Zzzax of Life podcast. Thank you, everyone, for joining us again this week. Real quick housekeeping stuff. We will not have an episode next week. We're going to take 1 week off, and then we will be back with a special Halloween episode. Spooky. I don't know. I don't.
Spooky, scary. Werewolf bar mitzvah.
Yeah, we will be breaking down Werewolf by Night, and we'll do a Halloween-related draft of some sort. I wonder, do you have any Halloween-related cameos you could?
I'll have to look.
All right. If not, maybe I can come up with a Halloween game, or maybe I do that anyway.
I mean, I guess I could try to see if Jamie Lee Curtis is there, but famously, Marvel's not calling. So.
Right, of course. Until she gets cast like next week. Watch.
She's Mephisto, actually. I don't know if you saw that rumor.
I saw another rumor actually about
Mephisto. I know. That's what I'm joking about.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, so no episode next week. If there is Marvel Studios assembled for She-Hulk, which I think they're supposed to be, I'm not sure of that though. Don't quote me on that. We will. I mean,
it seems all too appropriate,
right? Which means it probably won't happen, and they'll drop it like 3 weeks from now. But no, we will. We'll add that onto the Halloween special episode. We'll just kind of talk about it briefly. But yeah, we're not going to do an episode dedicated just to that. But yeah, we'll break down Werewolf by Night in a couple weeks. And in the meantime, Kyle, what's going on with Entertainment Earth?
Yeah, so you can still shop on Entertainment Earth, and if you go to ee.toys/LPFan, you can get 10% off in-stock items or free shipping on orders over $39. So if the item is for pre-order, like a lot of them are, because there's a lot of upcoming things, especially like Marvel must-haves, a lot of the times they are just pre-orders at this point. Then yeah, you'll still get free shipping on over $39. But if the item is in stock, you'll get that and 10% off. So ee.toys/LPFan, or you just use the code LPFan at checkout on entertainmentearth.com.
I missed my opportunity for the joke, but I'm going to make it anyway. To be clear, that was and/or, not and/or the Star Wars series, correct?
No.
Right. Okay. Just making sure. As always, head to laughingplace.com for your latest Marvel news and Disney news in general. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at Zzzax of Life Pod so you can vote for who you think won this draft. Anything else, Kyle, before we head out for our long break?
Happy Halloween.
Bye, everyone.